Before we dive in, a quick thanks to our sponsor Gabit, which is a longevity ecosystem helping you live healthier and longer. I'll be honest, I could never wear a smartwatch consistently. It's too bulky for workouts, uncomfortable to sleep in. I'd like take it off and forget about it. Then I tried the Gabit Smart Ring, and it completely changed the game for me. I like that it's sleek and so lightweight, I even forget that I'm wearing it. It's the only wearable that can track all four pillars of health, which is my sleep, my stress, my fitness recovery, and including my nutrition. And as a gut specialist, you can only imagine how important the nutrition aspect is for me. Plus, the AI voice food logging is absolutely genius. You just say what you ate and it logs everything instantly. It even has this AI health coach, PEP, to help you track it at all times. No daily charging because the charge lasts up to 10 days. Just smart data and actionable recommendations that truly helps. Check it out at Gabbit.com and use my code MaryC for an additional 5% off. Hello, Alejandro, and welcome to the Be That Life experience.
Hello, Mary. So nice to be here with you.
I can't believe I'm here, honestly. This experience, doing this right now, I was just telling Coralie earlier that it was something that it's like I came here for something different and I left with a completely different feeling. It's magical, it's beautiful, and what you have built over the last 2 decades has been something super exceptional. And I wouldn't be able to say that if I didn't live and feel it over the last week that I've been here. So I'm truly humbled and honored to be sitting with you, somebody who is a massive advocate in the health and wellness space. I've been doing it for over a decade myself. I lost my father to cancer when I was the age of 22. So really I understand, the pains and struggles of what that's like. And, I'm very compassionate towards that particular disease on its own because, I couldn't save him. But there, you managed to be able to live with your dad for so long and he's been able to recover for something like that. So I'd really love to know your story. Why was SHA built? What was the experience behind that? And, what's the legacy that you're looking to leave behind?
Mary, so nice to have you here. Thank you for your generous words. I'm so glad that you managed to experience what SHA can do for human beings. And the truth is, the reason, the story behind the creation of SHA is being a key element on its success. We've seen SHA from the very beginning as a life mission more than a business. We created SHA after my father's health transformation. He recovered his health after going through a cancer in 2002. 23 years ago. I had a similar experience myself. I've been struggling with health issues for over a decade, with very strong migraines, not finding a solution, and I was able to recover my health thanks to integrative functional medicine. And when no one was talking about well-being or longevity, we became extremely passionate about how our lifestyle can influence our main wealth, that is our health and our well-being. And this was very eye-opening for us. My father felt the need, the responsibility of sharing it with more people, and that was the origin of the creation of SHA, thinking how we can help other individuals to optimize their health. So the system is very focused on the part of the equation of sick care. Once an individual has a clinical diagnosis and has symptoms, and is very focused actually on those symptoms, but especially 2 decades ago, and still unfortunately now, no one's taking care of truly healthcare, how to optimizing the health, the performance, the well-being of an individual. And that is been from the very beginning the mission behind SHA's creation.
How old was your dad when he was diagnosed with, because I believe it was colon cancer, correct?
It was colon cancer. My dad was 55 years old.
Yeah, that's usually when they spot it in men.
When he went through colon cancer, he's been already dealing, I would say since his early 40s, he's been dealing with health issues, which is what happens with part of the society. Basically, in the first half of our life, we feel invincible and we feel that whatever we eat, we drink, we do, whether we exercise or not, we sleep more or less, we feel doesn't impact significantly our health and our well-being. And usually we start feeling that imbalance on the second half of our life. Unfortunately, most of the people don't listen to those signals of imbalance and wait for clinical diagnosis. So usually these kind of illnesses take 10, 15, 20 years appears to develop silently in our organisms, where we are seeing some imbalances that usually we cover with medications, or we just don't listen to them and we think they're normal, they're genetic, until we receive a bad news. This bad news doesn't come from one day to another. We discover it from one day to another, but it's been developing silently in our organisms for 10, 15, 20, or 30 years.
What was your father doing before he developed SHA? Was he always in the healthcare sector?
No. He was a real estate. He's always been an entrepreneur, typical self-made businessman. I would say that real estate development has been his main activity on the past decades.
And do you think that contributed to the reason why he got sick, because of the stress levels, probably the kind of lifestyle he was living then, contributed to him having that? Or also just by doing your family history, did he come from a family of having cancers?
It's interesting, but if you see the evolution of the main diseases that are hitting society nowadays, we're talking about heart diseases, first cause of death in the world, cancer diseases. If we follow by diabetes, hypertension, metabolic diseases, I would say it depends individual, but usually we're talking that 80% is totally lifestyle related and 20% is genetic. So at the end of the day, this is about lottery tickets. We all have lottery tickets, but depending on your lifestyle, you're going to have more or less lottery tickets. In my dad's case, we're born in Argentina. Our nutrition was very heavy on animal protein, processed food, refined sugar, stress, alcohol. We're coming from a wine region. So I would say that's typical scenario for a cancer development.
Yeah, it's good that you pointed that out, because that is currently what's going on in the world back in that decade until today. We're entrepreneurs, and I see this all the time with the people I've worked with in the past, where they completely work themselves to the bone, and only when they hit a diagnosis are they able to go and be like, okay, now it's time for me to take care of my health. So I wanted you to just point that out and give people that understanding that really you can build so much success and live this crazy lifestyle of stress and not managing your sleep, but then it will catch up to you eventually, right? And another point you made on massive meat eaters, we've heard this over and over again by so many people in the longevity space now, functional doctors, is that there is a relevance for meat, but there's also a relevance for plant-based eating. Now, when you are focused on genetic testing, and because, I've been diving deeper into genetic testing over the years, I've done my own, I've understood that my body cannot handle coffee, which means I'm a slow metabolizer of coffee. I contain a particular genetic component that as soon as I drink it, I am agitated, I feel jittery, I can't sleep, I can't operate. While the opposite of that are people who are fast metabolizers of coffee, and the moment they drink it, even at 6 p.m., they can sleep to bed at night really well. And they're doing really well functionally. They operate well.
Very similar situation.
Yeah.
You talking
yeah. So, and it's the same when you're eating meat and when you're eating plant-based. And when people don't understand that from a genetic component, because this isn't something that we're educated into taking from the get-go, because obviously nutrition isn't really spoken about in school widely, and doctors haven't been studying nutrition unless you're in the nutrition space, right? And it's only recently that a lot of doctors are trying to understand or bringing nutrition into the aspect of what they do in their practice. Historically, our environment was very different in the way we understood our own health than what we're talking about preaching today. And SHA, 20 years ago, as you said, is not at all what we look at health today. I mean, 20 years ago, I was in my 20s. So obviously, I knew nothing about these wellness clinics. We know nothing about biohacking and longevity and Ayurveda and, these Chinese medicine principles. It was only when my son turned 6 that he developed a mild form of Tourette's, that when I took him to the doctor to see a neurologist, they prescribed him Prozac at the age of 6. And for me to, someone who didn't understand that in the health space, I already had very lack of confidence in conventional medicine because of how my dad's diagnosis happened and the way they treated that and how soon he passed away after, that I didn't have that much faith in it. So I studied deeply Chinese medicine, and I didn't come from the health space. And in 2 years from that diagnosis of my son, based on Chinese medicine treatments, I healed my son, and he no longer had Tourette's. He is now 22 years old, and he doesn't have any of those symptoms. So I solely, wholeheartedly trust and believe in Chinese medicine because of what I went through with my own personal journey. And that's why, what you're doing here today and what your dad went through, I fully believe in this process. And I come here with that understanding, and all the therapies that you produce and do and heal, it's all the things that I've been trying to promote for so long too, So going back to to what I was saying in terms of like the heavy load of entrepreneurship and what they were doing. It is so wonderful that you were able to find an integrative doctor that was able to help your dad at that time. How did you find this person?
First, I agree completely with your message. No, I really feel that finally the moment has arrived. We've been speaking about nutrition, about holistic Chinese medicine for the last 2 decades. I would say seeing negative reactions for many years, no, especially for more conventional sectors of medicine. No, and now finally, I think we have enough data and enough evidence to see these parallels, really be able to show evidence. No, Sha having integrated in our method bold scientific holistic Chinese medicine, it's amazing how you can see the parallel. You can do a science-based diagnosis with high-tech technology, with the latest blood biomarker panel, and then you can do an electromagnetic Chinese medicine test and see an amazing parallels on the opportunities of optimizing your health. No, but it's something that 10 years ago you couldn't think of. Nutrition, the main problem is education. Today's medicine approach is being designed thinking on the situation we had 7 decades ago when a human being was living 46, 48 years old. So all the focus was on controlling the infections, on controlling several illnesses, but wasn't focused on lifestyle. Now we're living 75 years old. In some countries as Spain or Japan, we're talking about 84, 85 years old, but we still focus on the similar approach we had 70 years ago. So there hasn't been enough interest to a common criteria in terms of nutrition. Actually, if you see leading institutions as Harvard, they published back in 2011 the healthy eating plate, and it was very controversial on the medical field. No? And it was telling you exactly the formula of you need to have, I would say, 80-90% plant-based diet, prioritize vegan protein, then fish protein, and reduce animal protein, especially pork and red meat, avoid processed food, avoid sugar. We think that there is positive trend, but unfortunately that positive trend is still concentrated in a small percentage of the society, which is the society that we may be living. But when you look at general data, unfortunately processed food, red meat, fine sugar consumption continues growing year by year. We discover, you were asking me how we discovered about this doctor. Actually, it was a friend of the family who had a similar episode. It was a lady from Madrid who had several illness, and she managed to recover her health thanks to this doctor, and it's how we found him. And my father went to visit him. His story was very amazing because basically he was a conventional medicine doctor, but also a Chinese medicine doctor. And the reason why he became a Chinese medicine doctor in second place was because he wasn't finding at that time all the answers on how to optimize on one's health on conventional medicine. And that's why he decided to study Chinese medicine. And he connected with the one who was his mentor, a gentleman from Japan. And this is how we started to build the Sha method over 20 years ago.
So was he part of the Sha, like the movement back then?
Yes, he's been involved in Sha for many years. He's already on his 80s, so he's enjoying a more quiet stage of life, but he's still somehow involved.
So he was like one of the founding members to help you guys build it.
He was very involved. Yeah, the vision has been always my father. With the family supporting him, of course. But I would say, yeah, he was one of the key experts from the very beginning.
That's incredible.
And I will always remember the first meeting that we had with scientific and holistic team. It was on a long table, and first they sit naturally in different sides of the table, and then they started to argue about different topics where they were showing controversy, and my dad was just listening. And 40 minutes later, they stopped the argument, and my father looked at them and said, this is the reason why I want to create Sha. No?
Oh, wow. That's incredible because it's like people having such different opinions.
Yes. Scientific and holistic Chinese medicine are perfectly compatible.
Oh my God, totally.
They have different goals. One is focused on how to react. If you have a serious illness, if you need an intervention, please go to a top scientific institution.
Yeah.
But if you're looking about optimizing your lifestyle, finding imbalances, why not using millenary holistic medicine?
Yeah, because obviously obviously the scientific base is like very data driven, data. And think about it though, like hundreds of years ago, we didn't have data. They focused on other acupuncture. They understood it through points in the body, just by adding needles, and they understood like this. I'm going to give you an example. So 2 days ago, I did my acupuncture treatment, and I've never done it in the way that she performed it for me, right? And she asked me what my goals were and what my problems were. So I explained it to her, and she put the needle on my knee. And of course, she put needles everywhere else, but I felt no pain everywhere else except for that one part on my right knee. And I was like, wow, that's really painful. And then she explained why it was really painful. She's like, you're overthinking. It's part of the stomach, the spleen. And back then, that's how they knew, right? That they were problematic in different parts of organs, because obviously our body is all connected, right? It's one system, like an electric chain going around. And these pressure points is what's connecting all of that, removing the blockages and making you understand health better. And that's how they knew back then. And then centuries later, we come to the world that we're in now, where they changed the entire system. And they said that, because I had Dr. Zach Bush. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I've heard of.
So I had him on my podcast, and he spoke very specifically about this particular thing. And he said they brought a new system in where they completely wiped out Chinese medicine to make it look like Chinese medicine is like woo-woo. And they brought in the new system, which is now what conventional medicine is today, right? So obviously the newer generation that are being born today don't understand that anymore because it's been lost in translation. I grew up in the 80s, and that was already wiped out because they started doing this in the 50s, where they started bringing this new system in, you know? So yeah, I mean, to me, I definitely agree that, you know, there's a place for science-driven data, because nowadays people are focused on data, and conventional and Chinese medicine, because without Chinese medicine, there is no modern medicine. They go hand in hand, right? Now, from your experience, because obviously you've been doing this for so long, and can I just, you know, give you a compliment? Like, you look incredible for your age, you know, so you're clearly walking the talk, and whatever it is that you're doing to, you know, enhance your health to look amazing really shows, because you're living, breathing your mission.
This is, as I say, much more than a business for us. Or it's a mission, it's our lifestyle, it's the way, but keep well.
Exactly, the key pillars. So as your experience, I mean, you've seen and spoken to so many guests, you know, famous people, politicians, celebrities, all kinds of people. And, you know, I also feel like it's quite interesting talking to these people, because these type of people think they know everything. And then they sit in a room with a specialist and they realize that actually they don't know everything, you know, and they're also, what I've discovered, like the most stubborn, because they're used to getting things their way. And then when they hit a diagnosis, they're humbled because it's no longer your way. You know, it's no longer like, I want to do things this way. I now have to listen to somebody else to tell me how to fix myself. When people come here, what are the 3 things that they discover that they are shocked by, that they didn't know about, like just healthier habits?
You know, it's interesting what is happening nowadays with longevity and functional medicine. I will say that longevity medicine has similar risk than the risk of conventional medicine, which is focusing on the quick fixes. And the truth is, the foundation of living healthier for longer, the most powerful and effective way to shape your health is lifestyle. We have around 1,000 treatments at SHA. I could be telling you that there is magic treatments.
Wow, I had no idea you had 1,000. Wow.
Yeah, there are very effective treatments that can help you to enhance what you're already doing. But basically, the 4 pillars we're talking in order, we're talking about sleep recovery, taking it as your job. It's an essential function in our life to sleep at least 7-8 hours per day. Nutrition, we've already discussed which are some of the key. And today there are much more scientific evidence to prove that this is the best way to feed a human being. Movement, physical performance, essential at all the stages of life, but especially in the second half of our life, combining always strength training, cardio. Nowadays, you have amazing information as is the B2 Max, where you can see where you are and where you should be in terms of cardiopulmonary respiratory capacity, depending your age and your physical condition. And very important as well, your purpose, your mission in life, emotional well-being, managing stress. Stress is there. You cannot eliminate it, but learning how to manage it. Right? So those are the 4 pillars that are very easy to say. They don't sound like the latest cutting-edge advice, but basically those are what can help you help and achieve an optimal well-being and arrive to the 90 or to 100, 120 living well. On top of that, of course, there are nowadays amazing techniques that can help you to enhance. But if you focus only of those and you are not doing the foundation, you're not extending your health span. You're just looking good today. You may be feeling good today, but not extending your health span. You're going to see the same problems in 10, 20, or 30 years' time.
For the past 2 months, I've been traveling a lot. I've been Japan, Bali. I've been going to different places. And obviously, as somebody that's a gut specialist, every environment that you go in, your gut microbiota changes, right? And people don't really get that. But I think over the years, and because I've done my testing here and I just got my results yesterday and I was optimal levels and everything. And even the doctors were like, wow, even my bad cholesterol was lower than the actual range of cholesterol between 100 to 150. Mine was 86. They're like, whatever it is that you're doing really well. But you mentioned a point that's really important out of those 4 pillars is that the one thing that I've never ever faltered on my entire life is you can put me anywhere and I will sleep. You can put me in a car for a long distance, I will sleep. You put me on a plane, I will sleep.
That's a superpower.
Yeah, it is an insane superpower. And because I have that ability to sleep whenever, whatever, I'm always repairing. I'm always regenerating. And that's the reason why I'm never sick. I never have gut-related issues. And my vitals, no matter that I'm turning 44 in December, and maybe, okay, I'm approaching I'm in the perimenopause phase, and some nights maybe I'm not sleeping so well or managing my stress better. My gut is always insanely perfect because the number one most important aspect of all of those pillars is sleep, right?
That's very true.
And if you're not managing all of those things, sure, you can eat well and stuff, but if you're not giving your body enough time to repair, how are you going to manage those things, right? Everything else that's happening in life.
When you don't sleep well, the reaction that creates in your body is basically as your body has less energy, it starts to turn off some procedures that are essential for your organism. Say, I don't have enough energy, so I won't do this today. I won't do this today. So basically, you are like functioning on basic mode. You are not sleeping, no? And that has a serious impact on your health.
Like the operating
your cognitive capacity, on your physical performance, on everything. And if you're repeating that day by day, you're raising your cortisol, you're lowering your performance. Basically, you're aging faster.
Yeah, 100%. How's your sleep?
Usually, we'll have our points where we need to work harder. And sleep is something that I've been improving significantly later. As I say, taking it as part of my job, recognizing how important it is. Something that was very interesting for me is basically everything that makes our resting heart rate go faster doesn't help us to sleep and make us age faster. Everything that makes our heart rate go slower help us to sleep better. So we're talking about avoiding heavy meal, avoiding stress, especially on the last part of the day, avoiding exercise on the last part of the day, avoiding stimulant drinks, of course, avoiding electronics, taking precautions about the place where we're gonna sleep. And I've been implementing more and more protocols, making my wife to implement them, which is not easy. And I see, I would say I have an amazing improvement in my sleep. We partnered with Book, which we implemented at SHA ecosystem. I think I was one of the very early users of Boop, and I'm always tracking how to continue improving my sleep.
A lot of people find the tracking, there's 2 aspects of the tracking, right? There's the aspect where we track it and then people get too obsessed by the tracking and then which adds a little bit more stress. And then there's the people who are just like, they love it because they understand that they know when to switch off. And that's why Whoop is better than an Apple Watch and any digital interface because you're not seeing the data. You're not actively looking at it every single day, which adds, by the way, even more stress. And then you can only choose to go on the app and decide you want to look at it today. Maybe you got busy and want to look at it tomorrow. But when the digital interfaces, it gets harder. And that's why I feel like devices like the Whoop and even the Aura or any smart rings are better because of this reason.
I think, in my case, I try to take it off usually probably 3-4 weeks per year, take it off and not to be obsessed with it. But I think it's a great tool to shape your health. And one of the main differences that we've seen on the last 10 years and the last decade is before the diagnosis power was only on the doctor. And you as a patient, which is particularly a word I don't like, to have information on your health, it was very difficult. You need to ask for a clinical diagnosis and you need to show symptoms in order to ask for a diagnosis. Nowadays, there are great tools starting for health wearable devices for companies like SHA, where we can test around 1,000 biomarkers, as you can see, through technology, through blood biomarkers, and many other companies around the world. So nowadays, you can have a super detailed information, not only focus on detecting illnesses, which is what you will expect from a Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic, but focus on how to optimize your health. We're talking about values that we were not talking 5 or 10 years ago. We're talking about health span, which you can measure perfectly. We're talking about physical stress, mental stress, resilience, body composition, cardiopulmonary resting capacity, and V2 max capacity, about many indicators that give us a great signal of where we are. And then you can implement the plans. The point is, what do you do once you have the information? Many people is putting this information on ChatGPT or on Grok to get advice, which is again a nice tool to have, but can never compare to have a functional team of experts at your disposal to be able to create a plan. The same way you create a plan on your finances, on your family, and you think where I want to be in 10, 20, 30 years, no? The same way you need to do with your health. If you don't implement a plan now, having the information, you may not get where you expect to be.
You know, watching the trends and seeing what's been happening and all the insights in the health space, AI space, so many AI platforms now. ChatGPT is probably the biggest one where everybody's using that for diagnosis, for everything. And sometimes they have better diagnosis. ChatGPT is even able to discover sometimes than a conventional doctor is unable to tell. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk, and I did speak about this in an AI event like some months ago when I was on stage with all these high net worth individuals, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and we were talking about what the future of health will look like. And there was conversations and discussions and what in the next 20 to 30 years, people will become their own doctors. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're going to have in a very near future, and we are already on the way there, we're going to have at our disposal in our homes a similar diagnostic capacity of a top hospital. So we're going to have that information available for us, and we're going to have artificial intelligence, of course, to get a further description of what that technology is giving us. No? But then we need to implement a plan, and there I think we will always still needing advice and support for that implementation. Artificial intelligence, it's already having key role on proactive medicine. At the end of the day, longevity proactive medicine is based on prediction. It's seeing how you are today and being able to predict, depending what you choose to implement in your life, what you're going to be. No? We are researching currently, for example, on the digital twin, where you are already capable of replicating probably 50-60% of your organs. And the expectation is in maximum 3 to 5 years to be able to replicate 100% of your organs. So basically, you're going to be able to have a digital twin where you can apply any protocol, any procedure, and see the reaction on that health to create a better action plan for yourself.
Cool. Is that something that you're starting to implement, Sean, now?
Something that our innovation team is researching and starting to.
When do you think that will be ready in a place like
it's not something that depends entirely on us as a company. It depends, of course, on the industry. It depends on the field. And as I say, nowadays you can replicate 50-60% of your organs, but the prediction is it will take another 3 to 5 years to be able to replicate 100% of your organs.
I see that you have a cryo machine, which I haven't yet tried, but I will do that later on today. And then there's this whole new innovation called cryopreservation, which I'm sure you've heard about, where they're able to preserve a body just at the moment of death because they're not able to save them from that particular disease at the moment, and hoping that they will find a cure in the next who knows how many years and then bring them back to life then. Now, there's a lot of debate around that because some people are like, how is that even possible? That's just not even believable at this stage. Costs a lot of money, it's new, no one's really it's not really a big thing at the moment, but there are companies in Switzerland that are doing that. Do you believe that we can actually preserve people's bodies and heal them later at a later stage or not?
Something that personally I will never do. No? I'm not a true believer. First, of the feasibility, and second, of the necessity. I think there is a clear line on the difference between playing out, taking care of your health and your body to enjoy life at its fullest.
Yeah, I would definitely not do it too. Because you never know, what's going to happen. Also, I believe it's kind of weird that if I was 50 today and then I waited 40 years later and I'm still 50 and everyone else is, I just find that a little strange, wouldn't you?
It would be very
strange. It would be very weird.
Very awkward.
Working with a lot of people who are high net worth individuals, because this is the conversation we are today. SHA caters to people who obviously can afford these type of treatments and things like that. So, what are some of the like silent signs and symptoms you think most people are ignoring and they're waiting for the diagnosis to do something about it?
So if you think on a journey from optimal health and performance to illness, think that only in a country as United States, 1.7 million people are dying every year for a preventable disease. Imagine you have an enemy that is killing 1.7 million of your citizens per year. How you should act as a government. And the truth is, we're not doing anything relevant about it. And the reason why is how the system is designed and that we are totally waiting for that clinical diagnosis to start act. So if you draw a line on a journey from a premature death, illness, disease progression, onset of disease, imbalance, a neutral individual that is not ill, but it's not also especially healthy, and then awareness, education, and optimal health and performance. Our goal as a company is how we can keep you in optimal health and performance. Yes, we do welcome people who, unfortunately, they're suffering some illness that is related with their lifestyle and they haven't found the solution and they come to a place like Shabbat. Our main mission as a company is how to optimize your health. We are designed for people who are fairly well and they want to be better and they want to remain well. So I would say the main signs we should be listening to, we are talking about level of inflammation in our body.
Yes.
Key component, cortisol levels.
Yes.
Physical, mental stress, the relation between our parasympathetic and sympathetic system, seeing if there is a continuous imbalance that is making us age faster. Of course, body composition, percentage of fat, muscle. And here we are seeing many new drugs that it's hitting this one. And it's giving us fake understanding of the difference of looking well and being well. And there are some other indicators where we can start seeing balance. I will advise any person to test at least twice a year is what I do personally. A full blood biomarker once a year to do a proper full tunnel diagnosis technology like the one we have at CHA, or do a full body MRI in terms of staying ahead of your health and then implementing, of course, an action plan based on that information.
What kind of MRI machine are you currently using? Because there's advancements now in MRI where literally can scan the whole body. It's not targeted anymore in just one specific area, right? And I did that recently.
We are actually taking that area to the next level now with something that we hope to announce very soon. We are partnering with some of the top companies that is using not only the latest technology on full body MRI, but also implemented with artificial intelligence.
Cool. So it means you get your results faster? Is that what you mean?
No, not only that you get your results faster, is that you are able to analyze on your segment as individual based on artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. So it's no longer specialists and doctors.
Yeah, what you need to watch out especially.
Wow. Wow, I'm so excited for what the future of healthcare would be because like that alone not only helps with giving the diagnosis faster, but you can be able to do so many more people without the need of physical specialists, right? And that's amazing because, I mean, the doctor for the brain and the doctor for the heart, it's so many different specialists you need to speak to. And if AI can target that with just one test alone, on its own, like that's phenomenal.
That's a game changer.
That's an absolute game changer. So, we were talking about AI, the future AI, what that's doing for human health today. But then there's also this whole concept of biohacking, which we know back in the day, it was always Chinese Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, right? The biohacking today is obviously what it was, ancient wisdom and ancient medicine from back in the day, right? And I'm sure, as somebody who runs a space like yours, you hear it all the time, the newest trends and the latest things, but then we're also hearing a lot of different myths. What is the one myth that people are talking about when it comes to the longevity phase that you feel is just not true?
I'm sure I'm going to gain some enemies on this one, but I am personally not a big fan of GLP-1 hitting the world. I think it makes sense, of course, for a diabetes patient. It makes sense for someone who's been struggling for a long time with weight and has tried other methods unsuccessfully. But what we are seeing is a massive use of GLP-1. And as I was saying before, that's not going to increment your health span. That's going to make you look better today. We are seeing more and more consequences of GLP-1 in terms of muscle loss, in terms of reaction with your vision, with your pancreas. So the way of understanding well-being for some people, it's about GLP-1 and Botox, and they will discover in 10, 20, 30 years that it wasn't the right path.
That's interesting that you say that because it's such a controversial topic, right? The GLP-1. And there's so many people using it like many other things where we just over abuse it. It's the same as like we demonize sugar. But it's not the sugar that's the problem. It's the overconsumption of the sugar that causes the problem. And it's the same with carbs. We need carbs. We need sugar for our brain, right? We need certain things to function, but it's the overuse of these things that causes the problem. The same with GLP-1 and any of these weight loss drugs that have been on the market. And it's there for a specific reason for people who are morbidly obese and overweight. And it's a life-threatening situation that they need to take these type of things.
That's true.
But
and I tell you, even in these cases, we had patients at SHA, especially for your region, patients who have lost 100 kilos at SHA.
wow, with the GLP?
No.
Just
with the SHA method.
with the SHA method.
Nutrition, with
Oh,
movement.
wow. Okay.
We have people
Beautiful.
who had come for 3 months and they were in 225 kilos and they lost 100 kilos in 3 months.
But this is goes
Have
to
to
show.
sustain it.
You were saying the quick fixes. People are focused on quick fixes. It doesn't matter, right? They don't want to put in the work. They want something quick. And when it's marketed as that, this is a quick fix to losing the weight. They would rather go for that than to spend a ton of money, spend a lot of time to do that. But it's not sustainable.
You know, that's, as I was saying before, is the main risk that I see nowadays on longevity, which is focusing the same way it happened in conventional medicine, focusing on what is more interesting from a business perspective, which is mainly the drugs, some of the technologies, and forgetting the foundation, which is the same on both cases. It's lifestyle. So if you think on health span optimization as a pyramid, the base, the foundation, is lifestyle optimization with the 4 pillars that we mentioned before. Then is staying ahead of your health, proactive health diagnosis, being able to test every 6 months and to have clear data or where you are. The next stage will be functional precision medicine. In the case of SHA, we have 20 different doctors, different specialties, as you know, cardiologists, urologists, gynecologists, psychotherapy, experts on regenerative medicine, sports medicine, etc. So to create a team of physicians that can help you to translate that information to an action plan. Yes, you can use ChatGPT, but as a complement.
Yeah.
And then you have, I will start before biohacking techniques. I will start with science-backed longevity protocols. And again, seeing them as a way to enhance the foundation that is lifestyle optimization. And there are many things that I would prioritize before using GLP-1.
Yeah.
I'm talking, of course, about stem cells, exosomes, cell regeneration, IV therapy, ozone therapy, EBOB therapy. So even peptides, nowadays you have very interesting peptides. So everything needs to be personalized and always seeing it as a complement to your lifestyle optimization. If you picture life as a graph, you say, okay, if I do nothing, this is going to be my graph, and usually from our 20s, all our biomarkers start to decline. Scientifically, we know that our average lifespan is going to be 75, and the average data is that we're going to spend part of our life in illness or pure health. That's if we do nothing. Then we say, okay, we're going to create a new line on that graph, which is lifestyle optimization, being able to optimize my life with those 4 pillars. And then you're able to grow that same line in 30, 40, 50%. And if you say, and here you're looking more for performance, how I'm already taking all the basics, all the pillars of lifestyle optimization, but I'm looking to optimize my performance and take my vitality levels to the next stage. And then is where this science-backed longevity can help you to take your health, vitality, cognitive and physical performance to a next level.
You mentioned that people are losing 100, 120 pounds.
That's correct.
Here. And I'm just like, wow, that's incredible. But it's easier to lose that kind of weight and to live that kind of life when you're in an environment like this, right? Because it promotes that. The challenge is when people leave that environment and how to sustain it. It's the same as you take the bariatric surgery and you think that that's going to solve all your problems and you lose all the weight. But there's a very high percentage based on studies that people gain all the weight back because they just think automatically by doing that surgery, you automatically just live a better life and look healthier forever. But they don't realize that even the small habits of going back and eating a KFC or a McDonald's or having ice cream every night brings you back to that old lifestyle. So it goes back to everything we speak about. People take health programs online, offline, go to clinics like this. But I think one of our biggest challenges as people in the health space is that how do we help people become sustainable with that longer term? So after they leave SHA, and they've had these profound changes in their life. And then, they go back into their environment where it's stress, alcohol, vices, responsibilities. They're not in this environment anymore. And then people's biggest struggle always is temptation and discipline. How do we help people after that when they moved on?
For me, the key answer for this is listening to body alarms. So nowadays, there is a way of turn off body alarms. So being overweight, it's a serious body alarm. Sleeping bad, it's an alarm. Low vitality, low cognitive performance, low physical performance. All those are alarms that are telling us that we are doing something wrong. If instead of implementing the changes that are going to help to reconduct and optimize our health, we use GLP-1 or we use only peptides. Nowadays, we have peptides to sleep better, to gain more muscle, peptides for many things, which can be great to enhance what you're already doing. But if you don't implement the lifestyle changes and you rely only on those drugs, then you're making a big mistake, because you're looking good today, you're feeling good today, but you will see the response in few decades ahead, because you are not listening, you're you're turning off those super valuable alarms.
Are you giving people like so they leave SHA and they've had this massive transformation. Are you giving them like a plan to follow through? Just like an accountability partner, not just like a physical plan? Like, how does it happen?
We see SHA not as a wellness destination. We see SHA as a lifelong
journey,
proactive health partner. We want more and more your visit to SHA once a year, twice a year, to be part of that journey together. A very important part, but not the only part. So yes, we do give you a personalized health plan. We offer you the possibility to continue in touch with your assigned medical and experts team. And the direction that we are moving on as a company is more and more on how we can continue supporting you all year round, to support you not only 7, 14 or 21 days a year, to support you 365 days a year.
Dr. Gabor Mate, he's one of my favorite doctors in the world because he helped me a lot when I was going through understanding my own traumas, but also like dealing with the trauma of losing my dad at such a young age, because he was my best friend. And he made me understand more about what illness is really like, how we develop that. And a lot of illnesses today are developed based on emotion. People are not in tune to their emotions, live life and they suppress trauma, and they live life and they allow the triggers to hit them and not do anything about them. And we are as a nation more reactive than focusing on how we can silence the mind and just become more compassionate, And he said something really profound in the book, When the Body Says No, and it's that illness is not a matter of misfortune or just a matter of bad luck. It's a matter of the choices that we make every single day, right? And I believe that because I'm a living testament of that. You're a living testament of that. Your father is a living testament of that. And everyone that we surround ourselves with who are super healthy in this decade of their lives is because it's a compounding interest, right? Whatever you do in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, it compounds. You start feeling it in your 50s and 60s where other people's organs are breaking down. Yours isn't, because it shows by all these habits that you're doing. And sure, the discovery of epigenetics today shows that it is based on lifestyle and not a genetic component is what makes us healthy today. And sure, we can bypass all of those diseases that our family history had based on what we do in our environment. But I want to ask you though that, in many cultures, Argentina is one of those cultures, Middle East is one of those cultures, their eating habits is not, the same way as like 100% plant-based. How do we educate people in that space who are meat eaters, who predominantly love drinking wine? How do we transition them to more of a holistic, healthier, plant-based diet and less about eating meat and drinking alcohol and smoking? Because, there's a lot of shisha in the Middle East. They're smoking that every single day. They're like the Spanish culture. They eat super late. The only time when they're really dieting is during the period of Ramadan, right? Where they're not eating all day, and it's that whole religion and the practice. Like, how are we helping people who don't want to eat plant-based become healthy?
our body gets used to what we give to our body.
Mm-hmm.
If you give sugar every 2 hours or snacking every 2 hours, if you give alcohol on a daily basis, if you eat meat on a daily basis, this is what your body will ask you to. The good news is the body also gets used to good stuff, and that's a much more efficient type of energy. No? The difficult part is the transition, and when an institution like SHA can add a tremendous value, because you can go to an amazing nutritionist in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi or a functional medicine doctor, and he will give you a diet, lifestyle recommendations, and will tell you, go implement this. But then you arrive home and you're dining out and you're cooking yourself, you are not finding the solution, no? So the great thing about SHA is how you can make this difficult part, that is the transition. And it takes usually 10 to 20 days to make that transition on an extremely guided, effective, and even pleasant, as you have experienced, environment and methodology, no? I don't think health is anymore about suffering. This idea that we had from wellness places back in the 80s or 90s on many countries, especially in Europe, about very strict diets, fasting. This is not the way we see health. The way we see health is how we can offer you a method that it's first extremely effective, but second attractive enough to prove you that you can enjoy life, achieve optimal health at the same time. What we want to hear from you, and what we hear every single week is, wow, I wish I would eat like this on a daily basis.
I exactly said that the other day.
So if we are able to make that click, that turning point while you are a child on that 7, 14, 21 days, then it's 90% easier to come back to your city and to continue with this, because health is a journey. And once you have experimented the benefits, the impact that has your vitality, in your physical performance, in your cognitive performance, in your ability. Here we measure, we are totally focused on data. And an average individual, let's talk about a guy who is, 90 kilos stressed with some overweight. We're able in 7 days, only in 7 days, given the right food, the right movement, the right recovery, the right medical protocols, we're seeing over 50% body disinflammation. We're seeing an average of 3.54 kilos weight in a week on a healthy way and sustainable way without fasting. We're seeing a 20-30% increase on cognitive capacity, physical performance, sharper mind in 7 days. No? It's like you can have the best car in the world, but if you've been giving for a long time the wrong food and the wrong care, and then you start giving one day the right to that perfect technology, you start giving the right care, you see an amazing reaction in that perfect machine that it's our body.
People don't know what they don't feel, right? And it's the same. If you've never experienced something, you will never miss it. And coming to SHA or experiencing anything wellness related, and you feel good when you're there. When you go and leave and you feel bad, you know what it's like to feel good. So you don't really want to feel bad for too long, even though maybe you crave certain things and go back to your old ways. You just have this switch in your head. That's what SHA does, right? It gives you like a mental switch, because you come to a place for the first time ever and experiencing these profound changes. You feel great. You go back, life happens. Maybe you lost a loved one or something happened in your life and you had to turn to food or some emotional things that will cause vices and stuff. And then you feel really bad for a moment. And then you realize like, oh my God, I remember what it was like to feel when I went to SHA. I want that feeling again. So automatically your brain will program you to crave the good feeling. And to crave the good feeling, you need to crave better habits, right?
I would say first is getting your body used to this new source of energy. Second is making your alarms work again, improving the relation with your organism. So when you go back, you say today, they're usually, let's say the healthy balance should be 80-20. 80% to follow nutritional guidelines and 20% to have some flexibility. Today I'm going out, I'm going to eat some meat or going to drink a glass of wine. So when you start, your alarms are working well, you see immediately the impact of eating or drinking something or eating or drinking something different. No? And this is what keeps you on track when you are seeing those alarms and the impact that it have on your health. And then I think nowadays it's perfectly compatible. At the end of the day, what individuals are looking is to step on top of the game, to stay healthy, to enjoy optimal performance, to enjoy life on the same time. So it's perfectly compatible to do both on the same time. No, it's having the knowledge of everything in life, having the knowledge to implement it.
You know, for the listeners who are listening to this right now, you make it so enticing. Like tomorrow they need to book a flight and come to Shah. So give me just a little bit of the client journey. How do people come and book an experience here that is something so different from anywhere else in the world? Because obviously you don't have that many locations. This has been the sole location until you open Mexico. And soon you're going to be also opening in the Middle East, which I'm very excited about because I live there. So that's going to be something exceptional. I want to talk about that a little bit later on, that particular island that you're going to be building. But I just want to take people on your client journey.
I would say the first thing that makes us different is the focus that we have as a company. There are very respectable brands that are focused on detoxification, or they're focused on anti-aging, or they're focused on fasting and different methods, no? Or on more traditional holistic well-being. In the case of SHA, our mission as a company is health and performance optimization. And we are obsessed, and we've been perfecting and evolving for 2 decades, everything from scientific and holistic that can help you to optimize your health, your well-being, and your performance. So the challenge for us, and what makes it especially interesting, is how to hyper-personalize the journey for you. Because, of course, if you're coming here and you discover 1,000 treatments, then you say, what should I do? No? So that's our mission. So I would say step 1 in this process, in this guest journey, is to get to know you very well. Even prior to the arrival, I start to getting to know you very well in order to guide you and design for you a health journey to make sure that we achieve the health goals that you're expecting, and we're even able to track it with data and prove it to you. Listen, this is how you have arrived and this is how you're living. And then implement an action plan, not only thinking that you're going to change your health in 7 days. You're going to improve significantly your health in 7 days, but our specialty is to implement with you an action plan and say, okay, this is where you are. Where you want to be is the question. And our mission is to help you to get you from where you are to where you want to be.
But it's crazy how in just 7 days you can create that impact, right? So that's actually a massive claim to state that we can do this and create that transformation for you. And to be able to do that so precisely as what I've experienced, because, I come here, day 1, obviously I'm starting to get to know people. But day 2, it's like I'm part of the family because they know my name as I walk down the elevators, I eat at the restaurant, they just know who I am. Like I've been here for so long. And I think that takes a very special level of professionalism, obsession into the craft and the passion into it to be able to create something as beautifully orchestrated as what you do at Shaw. So really, I'm very highly impressed with what you have
You mentioned something, thank you so much. You mentioned something that is very important, and especially on what we do. No? Nowadays, longevity is booming. Longevity, health span optimization is booming. And there are many companies, many investment funds, technological companies investing in the field because they know it can be a great business. But what I would say it makes SHA very unique is it still is one of the very few global companies that is still family owned and run, and that it's really a purpose-driven brand. So that makes it has a tremendous impact. It may seem anecdotic, but believe me, it's not, because it has a tremendous impact on our mission, on our company culture, on the way we approach healthcare, on the way we treat guests. And as you say, here you arrive to SHA, and on day 1 or on day 2, you feel part of the family. And the experts that are guiding you, they're doing with their heart, and they're doing on a genuine way, not looking to sell you something, whether you need it or not, but really treating you as you were a relative or you were a close friend, and they're looking for the very best for you, for your health and your well-being.
Yeah, I really see that. I saw how much care and attention they put in it because they're passionate about it, and isn't because it's their job. And that's really hard to implement and find in people today. It's a rarity, actually, because most people hate what they do. Let's be honest. Most people are in this, the rat race, and they hate what they do. But you've clearly selected an insane group of professionals that actually love what they do, but you can see, feel, sense it in everywhere you go within the SHA environment.
Training, selection and training is key, and something that I'm very glad to say is that, as you can see, our staff has been with us. You see people who has been with us from the very beginning for 16 years, 15 years, 18 years, 12 years. When we start recruitment, new members of the team, sometimes people says, do you really want me to join? Because we are very clear on, look, this is the mission. Here it's only for high performance, because we're treating with extremely knowledgeable and demanding guests. And here, it's much easier to work on a hotel or to work on a traditional luxury hotel or working on a health clinic. Here, you require, as a staff member, as a talent, a level of performance, a level of coordination, a level of care. So it's essential that the people that we hire don't never see this as a money job. Of course, we want them to be happy and very well paid, but we want to make sure that the people who works at SHA is people who also see it as their life mission.
Yeah,
that's what helps us really to create the change that we expect on our guests.
Yeah, you're right, because people don't come to these places if they're not knowledgeable. They understand, their own health. They're well researched. They do their own research before they come to places like this. So obviously they can spot when people are not knowledgeable themselves, when this is not their passion. They can feel and sense that. There's obviously a caliber of people that come to places like SHA, and it isn't for everyone. But how would you look at, holistic health and well-being as a whole? Because we're 8 billion people in the world. And out of that 8 billion people in the world, there's only the minority of the people are the ones that can afford places like SHA. It's not the majority, unfortunately, right? But the world is shifting, because obviously with the likes of social media and everything in place, people are just understanding a lot more about health and well-being, free information online and stuff like that. However, as the world is transitioning now and everything is about longevity and wellness, how can you see to create an even larger impact than what you're doing today?
That's part of our mission as well. Of course, we're a small family-owned company. We wish we had the power creating a more meaningful change in the world.
You're doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job.
I would say that first, responsibility that we have, those that we had access to this treasure, because it's a treasure, how to achieve and maintain optimal health. We have the responsibility of continuously sharing it, whether you can come to SHA or not, whether you have the possibility to come or not, and to become ambassadors not of a brand, to become ambassadors of healthcare. We created a foundation. It's called the SHA Foundation.
Okay.
I have to recognize we haven't been able to invest. We've done some interesting things, but we haven't been able to invest enough time at this stage that we are expanding such a challenging brand to replicate, to escalate, because this is not a luxury hotel. This is much more challenging, the level of experts that you require, the level of coordination. But I will say that for all family members, especially my parents, but for all family members, our ultimate mission is how we can contribute to society to create a healthier world. And it's perhaps it's not being the top priority at this stage of our journey, but we want it to be at some points. We want to invest much more time on that. For me, the best way to do it is research and education.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with many SHA guests, with many top doctors, researchers. For example, when you talk about cancer, 99.9% of the funds are always invested on research for cure, but no one is investing on education.
It's true.
So it's an ongoing circle that it's never ending, and it's always increasing and increasing the circle. Well, we know that 80% of the cancers that we're going through are lifestyle related. And I've been in so many cancer galas dedicated to research, and I always wonder myself, why are we not taking advantage of this institution to focus more on education? Teaching people how they should eat in a better way, how they should exercise, how they should take care of their
what tests they need to
what tests they need to take to prevent. Nowadays, you have amazing early detection cancer tests. So I think that's the direction. And of course, my wish list will be for governments, world leaders to be more aware of this situation and be able to focus their efforts in this direction and not only lobbies or only on business priorities.
I mean, the good news is that the US is kind of changing the way they're doing things now, and they're adding nutrition as part of education in schools, but also every medical doctor needs to study nutrition. I think that's a positive change in all the negativity that we're seeing around, especially in that part of the world. It's good that even...
You know how many hours nowadays is studying a doctor on nutrition along all the career?
Yeah, it's like 1-2 hours maximum. Yeah, maximum.
Less than a day. Less
Yeah,
than 8
maximum.
hours, less than 8 hours.
I mean, I interview all these doctors and they never even study.
Exercise, less than 5 hours. That's the knowledge they have. So, unfortunately, even if you find a doctor who cares about lifestyle, unless they have done a complementary education, they may not have the knowledge. And also, the problem nowadays is depending where you study nutrition, you're going to study very different things.
Yes, obviously.
If you study in Harvard, you will study one thing. If you study in, I don't know, in a different university, they will tell you that animal protein is key and dairy is key. So there is no a common criteria yet regarding nutrition on a research and institutional level.
You think that's coming?
I hope it's coming because there is unnegable evidence. So they need to align.
Yeah, totally. And you know what I find really alarming and funny, actually? I find it interesting, alarming, funny. I don't know what else words I can use. Is that I've been to hospitals, large hospitals with like really big names. And I would have a consultation or a meeting with their nutritionist. And the nutritionist will be overweight, terrible skin, like massive like under eye bags underneath the eyes. And then she will prescribe me a generic meal plan. And I think to myself, as someone in the health space, yes, I find this alarming, funny, and all those things, right? But for the people who are in the system and don't look at this, who automatically are like just following what the doctor would tell you, they would take that health plan and they would try to implement it. But why would I ever take advice from someone I don't want to look like? I will only take advice from someone I want to look like, right? And that should be everybody's way of being and thinking, is that you will never take advice from someone that you never want to look like.
With a doctor, it happens the same with a trachologist. You go on the trachologist, you must know her.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
Take it as a key principle. Next time you go, please turn back and say, thank you for your time.
You're enough for me. It's the same as like we choose a life partner relationship. We need to choose that for our doctors. Just because you come from a family line of doctors, I know people who I used to work with who have had their doctor for the last 30 years. And that doctor is like in their 70s. And sure, you know, it changes. That generation is not the same anymore as today. And if you're not constantly evolving, you know, that doctor's not going to be able to help you in this generation because they are so... like they have this archaic mentality. They think a different way. They think a very different way from like 20, 30 years ago.
You know, I think this change is being forced not by the system. It's being forced by society. Society is looking for answers. Society is wondering why, if science is advancing,
Exactly.
there are a bigger percentage of people suffering heart diseases and cancer and diabetes. Why? What is the reason? Why are we doing wrong? And why my conventional doctor is not giving me a response? So that's what made grow as well the wellness industry or the longevity industry. But this is led by the same people. It's led by society looking for answers that they were not finding in the conventional system. And I'm not criticizing the conventional system. Conventional medicine is part of SHA and of the total number of physicians in the world. No?
I've spoken to a lot of functional medicines on my podcast, medicine practitioners who used to be conventional and moved to functional. And they say to me always the same thing. Doctors are not out there to hurt you. They don't want to harm you. But that's what they've been taught. They've been taught a certain way and all they do is teach that way. But their goal is not to harm you or hurt you. And those that have moved away from conventional and are more focused on functional is because they've realized that there's another modality that can help people in a more holistic way, that doesn't have to pump, just pills and drugs to make you feel better, that you could treat it from the root cause. And that's why they feel like maybe that's the better way for me. But only when you are, aware and more intentional and really do the research yourself, do you realize that you can become that. But also I feel like it takes a lot of courage to move past what you know to the unknown. right? And I mean, a lot of courageous doctors now are stepping out and doing that, and I've spoken to many of them, and I'm inspired by that, and I feel like kudos to you for coming out and creating your book and going against the system and talking about things that are, you know, not the norm. But I think it's also because, like you said, our society has now moved towards, like, now we have more freedom to talk about things. Back then we were silenced, and now, because one doctor is talking about it, the next feels the courage that they can speak about it, right? So let's fast forward to maybe the next 20 years, like it's, I don't know, 2040, 2045. And can you just say and think about it for a moment? If there was a therapy or a philosophy or modality that you are doing today that people will look back and say, oh my God, Shah had this right all along, what would that be?
That's a difficult question. I will say if we're talking about science, it will be androgenic stem cells. The problem that usually takes 10 to 20 years for governments to regulate and for the system to regulate new procedures, new drugs, new technologies. So I do believe very much on androgenic stem cells as a way to rejuvenate and to cure many autoimmune diseases. And I think it's going to gain more and more presence and protagonism on health span optimizations in the years to come. It's going to become a regular practice in 10, 20 years' time. If we're talking about philosophy, it's what we've been talking all this time. Probably the main problem that we have nowadays is processed food and sugar, which are very connected. On the 1950, if you analyze a country as US, we were consuming 2 kilos of sugar per person per year. Now we are consuming 45 kilos of sugar per person per year. On the 1950, percentage of obesity in the population was below 10%. Now it's close to 70%. So the direction is very clear. So I do hope that even the lobbyists find a way, because it's the only way to do it, to find a way where we can feed the population without destroying their health.
On a personal note, for you as a leader, you know, you've been managing Shaw for such a long time. If there was just one wellness modality that you really struggle with, what would that be? Just to maintain that for yourself.
For me, I would say the two things that I struggle more has been stress and sleep.
Yeah.
Practice that I implemented in my life, and sometimes you forget about it and you reconnect again, is meditation. It may sound as something very basic, but the power that meditation has on shaping your stress and your sleep, it's amazing. It helps you realize that at the end of the day, we all play a role in life. No, not to take life so seriously. No matter if you're stressed, if you're dealing with business situations, with team situations, with whatever, to be able to disconnect for a few minutes from this crazy monkey that is our brain, and to connect with ourselves has a amazing impact in our life.
We were talking earlier about the blue zones, and I speak about it because I just came back from Japan and I went to Okinawa and I interviewed the doctor that actually discovered the blue zones, and he's 91 years old. And you know what I'm really excited about is what you're now building, and what you're building in the Middle East where I live, which is just, you know, a drive for me. And I can't wait. I'm like counting moments, days, months until that's open, because it isn't just what you're experiencing here, like a wellness clinic. It's an entire island. Please talk to me about that.
With pleasure. You know, this is a project that we've been dreaming and working, I would say, for the last 7 years probably. It's going to be the most ambitious project ever done around health optimization. So it's an island located between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's an island connected to mainland. It's around 25-hectare island. It's in an area called Al Jurf. Basically, all our properties contain the residential component, but here we've taken it to a next level. So it has Shah Health resort and clinic, but then we've built a healthy living community around Shah with villas, with apartments, and we've created everything on the island, from the environment to the well-building standards, and especially to the offers, and the expert is prioritizing your health and your well-being. So we've built different hubs, different pavilions around the island, focused on sports, on metabolic therapies, on healthy nutrition, on education for the younger ones, on wellness, health, and sustainability. We have a number of healthy restaurants, organic market around the island, everything with electric mobility, amazing gardening. So really it's how to create the first, I don't know if we can use the word blue zone, but the first man-made, longest lived sun in the world. No, that's the mission. Actually, my dream will be how we can partner with a research entity and we can show how evolves the data of its citizens. Now we do expect to have around 500 people between guests and owners, residents that are going to be living on the island. So to show as well how their data is going to evolve. Over 50% actually of the buyers are going to have it as a first home, which make it even more interesting. It has a perfect location because you are 25, 30 minutes from Dubai and 40, 45 minutes from Abu Dhabi, no? So it's a perfect location as well to have it as a first home.
Is there anything in this island that people should be excited about except of all the things that you've already mentioned that is maybe different from other places? I mean, there's so many wellness developers now, right? Doing some cool things, some apartments, some villas, but I don't think I've ever heard of a wellness developer that's doing an island.
Yeah.
Specific.
Well, I would say that the main difference that you won't find in other wellness projects is to have the number of professionals, experts. Imagine in Spain, we have 350 professionals. Here we do expect to have around 700 professionals. Half of them, we're talking about physicians, expert personal trainers, therapists, holistic practitioners. So basically, you can have beautiful wellness amenities, you can have a beautiful fitness room, but to have this army of experts at your disposal to have access to this, I don't think there is a better way to age.
I feel like the challenge now in this island is not getting people to come, but how will they leave? They'll never leave. That's gonna be a challenge. You're gonna have to have your staff there like 24/7. You're gonna be able to offer these things all the time because they never want to go anywhere. Do you have an exact date when it's gonna be open?
Yes, we expect it to open mid-2027.
And when has the sales started for all the villas and stuff like that?
The sales have started. I have to say that both of us, my brother and I, have bought our residence of that. So whoever decides to buy, we're gonna be spending some time together.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Like, do you already have the model units and everything?
We do.
Where is it?
Knight Frank is dealing with the sales, but it's already available, and I do expect to visit the region next October.
Yeah, so the model units to check out are in Dubai?
Yes, we do have a sales center in Dubai, but you can also drive and go to Al Jurf and see the place. And
Oh, wow.
go
Beautiful.
the sales
I'm going to check it out.
center there.
Yeah, I want to check it out, and I really want to see what it's like because maybe I want to buy there. I mean, it's no question. I should love to have labor. I would totally want to buy there. Because I was thinking about Bali, but maybe I got to skip Bali and go there.
I would definitely go for Shahid instead of Bali.
Okay, now I wanted to just ask you some fireside questions, like really quick ones, and you just need to answer me whatever comes to your thought first. You're going to answer them, okay? No, say those options. Okay, coffee or matcha?
Matcha.
Chinese medicine or Western medicine?
You need both.
Yeah.
You need both.
One shot therapy you'd keep if you had to close everything else.
Wow, that's a difficult one. Shot therapy, nutrition. I would keep nutrition.
Biggest health mistake you see wealthy people make?
GLP-1.
If you could ban one modern food forever, which one would it be?
Refined sugar.
Meditation or movement?
You need both. One is for your mind, the other for your body.
One book that changed your view on health?
Outlive.
By who's?
By Peter Attia.
Okay. First thing you do when you wake up?
Gratitude.
One thing you wish people understood about longevity?
It's not about living longer. It's about living better.
Fasting or supplements, if you could only choose one?
Bright nutrition. None of them.
Yeah. If you weren't in the wellness space, what would you be doing today?
Probably I will be enjoying somewhere now. I'll be definitely something that can make this world a better world. I love anything that has a positive impact.
Yeah. One guest transformation story that you'll never forget.
A guy who stayed with us for 8 months with a severe burnout and was able to recover his cognitive capacity.
8 months.
Yes.
Wow. What keeps you up at night?
My kids.
Your personal vision of health at 90 years old in one sentence.
Practicing in sports, traveling, enjoying life, surfing, kite surfing if possible.
I tried kite surfing, by the way. It's super hard.
It is hard, but it's amazing. Yes.
So are you good at that?
Yes.
Wow.
Try to.
Kudos to you. You're like a man. You just are a man of many talents. You're really good at everything. Alejandro, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights with my audience, your expertise. And I really invite everybody that's listening to this, watching this, to come to Shah, experience what it's all about, understand that you're going to come in here for one thing and leave completely in a different thing, because that's what's happened to me. And, we want to create positive impact. And that starts with every single person, every single listener, every single person watching this today. It starts in you.
That's such a pleasure, Mary.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for this conversation and this opportunity to share this message to be able to transform many lives. Thank you.
Thank you.